excited to have you here with me. I'm live, something a little different from my normal, at least here on YouTube. Jaleesa Dallas here, and I help individuals and organizations cultivate courage, specifically in their life, in their relationships, and in leadership. And so, what we do is help them to break barriers to their success, bolster their belief for greater confidence, and build courageous behavior to optimize their life, creating belonging internally and externally in community. And again, all that around cultivating courage. And so I mentioned with those who are subscribed to my email list that I would be going live. I usually post a video at 6 p.m. every evening. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. Tuesday evenings. And I apologize for the delay. I did not pre-record a video and I got caught up in a meeting at work. So my sincerest apologies. But I still wanted to get on here because I had mentioned I was going to be sharing about what I'm calling Go Brave 75. And for those who have gotten bits and pieces around it, before I go into great detail, I would love for you to like, to comment, subscribe, share this with someone you know. Give me feedback because that's the only way that I grow. I love, love, love feedback, good, bad, and indifferent. Because everything I put out here, I know that it's up for scrutiny by any and everyone. So, by all means, share your perspective. All I know is that the truth that I typically lean into is in the Word of God. And so, you know, I take opinions and other people's perspectives with a grain of salt, even my own sometimes, because my humanness can get in the way. But beyond that, again, like, comment, subscribe, share this with someone you know, and let's get into it. So, Go Brave 75. If you are familiar with 75 Hard, then you know the various aspects of this challenge. If you're not familiar, I'm just going to tell you kind of surface level. You are managing a consistent meal plan over the course of 75 days. You are drinking a gallon of water every single day. You are reading a minimum of 10 pages of a nonfiction book that is not audio book. You are also taking a progress picture and you are working out 2 times a day for 45 minutes each, and one of them has to be outside. So that is what I am doing. But how I'm adapting it for it to be a Go Brave experience is by way of implementing the principles as I go about this journey. Excuse me. And so, for those who do not know, I've shared in various videos, but just to recap, Go Brave is an acronym for growth, optimism, boldness, resilience, authenticity, victory, and virtue, and being equipped in your purpose to empower others. And so, if you notice, there's 2 V's and 2 E's, but essentially that spells Go Brave. And so, those 7 principles, my goal is to talk about each of those principles essentially every day over the course of these 75 days, specifically with growth being on Mondays, optimism being on Tuesdays, which is today, boldness on Wednesdays, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to break down each of those principles and 4 components from each. So, yesterday, when I talked about growth, I talked about the components that create growth specifically in our mindset, everything from learning, progress, effort, feedback, and planning. So I talked a little bit about that on my Instagram Live. And so today, though I'm not going to get into great detail about optimism, I do want to talk to you about a few things when it comes to optimism. Optimism has to do with age, and not literal age, but it's an alliteration for anticipation, gratitude, and expectation. Anticipation is essentially us being excited really for what's to come. One of the examples that I use often is me planning for a trip. So a few years back, I went on a trip to Mexico and I was super excited for this experience. I put everything in place in order for me to go, flight, lodging, my passport, I renewed it, all the things. And so I had great anticipation for this trip occurring. And so that's an example of anticipation. And that is one aspect of optimism, is anticipating the future. Now, granted, though this kind of had a plan, I was more anticipating the experience, which in some instances, experiences don't necessarily have plans around them, because I just kind of had to flow with once I got there, just kind of enjoyed my time being there and had very little expectation outside of it just being a good time and me just enjoying where I was at. Second to that is gratitude. A big part of being optimistic is having gratitude, being grateful for who you are, who you're growing to be, what you're doing, what you have, and the gift of who you are to the world, and being grateful and being appreciative of that. Another part of gratitude is valuing what you have. Like, a lot of times we forget what we have accomplished, the relationships we've developed, the work that we've done, like, and we forget, like, wow, I'm really great. And I talked about this actually a few videos ago about how to lean into, or being courageous and leaning into what we have, and how to create value for other people. I truly believe, and I've heard this from Myron Golden, that wealth is the value that you're able to attribute to others, and specifically the solution that you provide and the problem that you solve. And so when you think about gratitude and being grateful for what you have and what you contribute to the world, that leads to having optimism and a positive outlook. And then lastly, expectation. Now, expectation is really formula driven. A plus B equals C. Because with expectation, you kind of can determine the outcome to some extent, because there is a formula, there is a system or a structure that you can lean into. So if I say I want to increase my followers on YouTube, which is something that I actually aspire to do, then I need to make every effort or create systems around increasing my followers, increasing my subscribers. And so that's putting myself out there, that's being consistent, that's sharing my content, that's asking people to give me feedback, and really doing a call to action for people to subscribe. So subscribe, please. And thank you in advance. So again, with optimism, since we are talking about that today, because today is Tuesday, think about what you are anticipating and what you just have sheer excitement over, what you are grateful for, or the things that you can be grateful for, and then things that you can have an expectation. What are the steps needed to get to the outcome you desire? Now, granted, there are certain outcomes that we just cannot control, but when we create a system around success to some extent, and what we can manage and what we can improve, then that's when we can have expectation, and it's really a superpower. And so with that, that's optimism for today. But I'm going to carry this along, not necessarily on my YouTube page, but with sharing it with people about what I'm doing. Again, staying consistent with the 75 hard. I am preparing actually to go on my second workout of the day outside. I'm going to be walking around my neighborhood, and so I might bring you along with me on one of my social media platforms, not sure which one. But I'm continuing with this, and I want you to stay along with me. Also, so when I talk about me sharing the principles, which I'm going to do for the entirety of the 75 days, the first 5 weeks, because this is about a 10-week journey, but the first 5 weeks we're going to be talking and breaking down each of these principles and different areas of these principles. But then on the latter half, I want to talk about how that is applicable or implemented in our faith, our family, finances, our field and or industry, and then our fitness. So what does it look like, for example, to have growth in our faith? Again, I talked about growth yesterday. And with growth, one of those aspects is learning. So what more pertaining to my faith do I need to learn in order to increase my intimacy with God? That learning might involve me studying God's word more, of course, fasting, praying, being intentional about the things that I'm studying. If God has been talking to me about my mindset, or different perspectives that I have that don't align with his word, me challenging myself and making effort and shifting that perspective is a level of growth. And that's what's highlighted in that faith part of those 5 areas, which we'll cover in the latter 5 weeks of this whole 10-week experience. I hope that I explained that well, and that's something that you want to be a part of. Now, granted, I am doing this just because I want to challenge myself to be more disciplined, to be more consistent, to really shift my belief. I talked about on Instagram how I've lived a life, unfortunately, of avoidance. I have just stepped away from things just for the lack of certainty in how things would play out. And so I've avoided it. And unfortunately, that's me getting in the way of potential success, and not just success outwardly, but for my own well being and growth. And then I want to be more focused and be more intentional, whether it's on my job, in my business, and my relationships. Like, I need to be more focused. And I am highlighting certain aspects, even specifically in my business, that I'm just going to lean into, really, if not just for these 75 days, but for the next, gosh, 90 days, 6 months, because I need to just hone in on a few things. And then also to shift my belief about who I am and where I'm going and where God is taking me and the trajectory of my life and how my gifts and talents contribute to who God is making me to be. And so, with that being said, again, I'm doing this for me, but I would love for your help in being accountable, because me showing up is helping me to stay accountable to what I said that I was going to do. Because in all of this, when I talk about soul work, when I talk about cultivating courage, when I talk about living and loving and leading, it's all with the alignment between our beliefs and our behavior, because we know that our lives are stuck and stagnant, disrupted, disconfigured, discombobulated when our beliefs are not aligned with our behavior. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired with those things not matching up. And so, granted, that's not the entirety of my life, because there are beliefs that I am surefire moving into, and my behaviors demonstrate that. But then there are some things that I say I believe, but my actions don't demonstrate that, if I am being completely transparent. And I want to break that cycle in my life. So, with that being said, I would love your support in just helping me to stay accountable. Leaving comments of encouragement would be great. And I'm open to connecting with folks. I had a few people ask if there's an opportunity for them to join along with me. And yes, there is. I'm open to creating a group chat and one of these social media platforms for accountability, if that's what you all want. But again, this is not me launching a program or anything. It's just me sharing about what Go Brave is and actually living it out through the things that I am doing. So I hope that this was helpful in giving you some explanation as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and helping you, if you are subscribed already, at least to my email list. And you can do so actually by going to www.gobravelllc.com, because I have not necessarily some new things, but some re-envision things that I am sending out to specifically my email subscribers. So you're going to want to get on that list. And I also just talk about not just life things, but things that will help you grow, things that will help you to be optimistic, bold, resilient, authentic, have victory and virtue, and be equipped in your purpose to empower others. So join me again weekly on this platform, typically 6 p.m. Tuesdays. I am uploading, or I guess now going live, and or my various social media platforms at Go Brave LLC on Facebook and Instagram. So I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. I'm going to get out of here so I can do my second workout of the day. I am on my second to last water bottle for my gallon of consumption. The only thing I have to do is take my progress picture and read my nonfiction, which I usually do to wind down from the evening with a cup of tea. But I hope you all have a blessed one. Until next time, let your soul work be your best work to better you. Toodles.